Well, hello there, everyone, and it is I, Baby Crone, and I am here today to talk to you guys about the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Yes. Now, sadly, Lady Crone is not with me today because she is not feeling well. However, the reality shows just keep coming, so therefore the show must keep going. So, this week we're going to be talking about episode 10 and episode 11 of season 15 of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Just checking my mic. All right. So, mostly this episode is talking, while these two episodes together are really preparing us for the trip to Portugal. The trip to Portugal, which is where Cherie is hosting the this year's girls trip, and they're going to be doing a healing. That is very nice. This apparently it's something that Cherie does every year, because it must have been something she done last year and then again this year. But you know what? Cherie is both a bone carrier, but also trying to emerge from that and really get the girls together, because in last episode she also talked about how with the OGs, when she had a lunch date with them, that she really wants the ladies to come together because there's just so much discourse between them, that she feels like this group could really use a healing trip. And I love healing trips, because who doesn't want to get better and move forward? However, before we get to that trip, something very interesting is that Ralph, the husband of Drew, decided to throw a gathering for the ladies, where the ladies were served by their significant others, because some of them were husbands and some of them were boyfriends. So the ladies, before they went on their trip to Portugal, Drew and Ralph had a breakfast at their house, where Ralph and the guys decided to cook for the ladies so that way they could just bring in the trip whole and peaceful, no stress, no nothing. Just a great moment to have time to talk and get their kinks worked out before they go on to this trip, because the ladies were struggling a bit this season. So, interestingly enough, Monietta had brought her significant other, Heath. I just wanted to throw that one out there, because whenever I think of Heath, I think of a Heath bar, but that could just be me. Courtney brought her significant other, Bryce, which Kenya and Candy know, I'm not going to say very well, but they know through acting. So it was a blast for the past for them to be like, oh my God, Bruce. It was nice. And Candy was very shocked. She was just like, man, Courtney's just bringing out all kinds of surprises. For real. Next we have Cherie. See, Cherie, one moment she wants a healing trip. The next, she's being a bone carrier by saying that she doesn't believe Kenya has a new man, because it just seemed like whenever Kenya brought him up, there was like no picture evidence of them together. And Cherie's just like, is this a mysterious man? Like, I don't believe that you have a man. However, Cherie did finally get to meet him through a phone call, because Roy was not at this breakfast preparing, so Kenya was a solo with now the +1. However, which kind of made Cherie question a little bit more. So at this brunch, furthermore, oh yes, we learned that surprisingly Marlo had dated had dated Roy, who's seeing Kenya. And it was just by when Kenya was showing off the phone to when Cherie finally had proof that Kenya really is dating somebody. Marlo was just like, wait, is that Roy? I went on a date with him. And it was just kind of like, it was kind of like weird, because everyone's just like, oh my God. Marlo sloppy seconds in a kind of way, but you know, Marlo just thinks she's the ish and all that, but leaving my opinion out of it. So Marlo, she had brought her date, Scott Lee, and everybody was nice to meet Scott Lee. He's part Jamaican and something else. So we were just getting a little bit of backstory about him. Funnily enough, when Candy was ready to leave, she went out to the back, because the men, after they had served the ladies their breakfast, they had went outside to go chill and talk, and I guess to meet all the guys. Because why not? We're on a show together, and you're a part of this cast in a way, so let me get to know you. But Candy had called her man, Todd, when she was ready to go. She was like, come on, we'll go. Like, and he was just like, okay, okay, I guess I'm leaving. But she was nice though, because they were just like, oh, hi, Candy. She's like, hi, smiling, let's go. Like she wasn't playing. Like when Candy says she's ready to go, she ready to go. Furthermore, interestingly enough, Kenya found out that Drew was casted to be in Candy's production that she's making with Todd. And Kenya was just like, you could have casted me because I've known you longer and we've done productions together. So of course, I don't even need to audition. I'm just going to get the part. However, that is not how Candy rolls, and Drew had gotten the part because she feels like Drew just fits the part more because Drew can play and look naive. That's how she put it. Not saying that she is, but she isn't. But Kenya is still living off of the past with her Twa, which was a spicy scene. Lady Crow and I enjoyed that. And there's 3 parts to it. So it was like a trilogy. So it was like the thing for that time. And Kenya's like, I put 3 threesomes on the map. I guess you did, Kenya, because Twa, chef's kiss. Good acting. So yeah. Moving on, we have Kenya not really on good terms with Courtney. I'm not really sure what's going on with the 2 of those ladies, but while they were talking at the lunch, at the breakfast, Courtney was a little hands-on, touchy, like laughing, touching Marla. Like, you know how you are when you're laughing and you with your girls could just do a little slap. You like laughing on them. And Kenya's just like, nah, we not cool like that, Courtney. Get up off me, Courtney. And Courtney was just like, okay, okay. And Courtney was just like, I don't know what that's about. And Kenya was just like, I just mean it. We need to set boundaries. And of course, some of the other ladies hopped on. Yes, we need to set boundaries because this is supposed to be a healing trip. So they're supposed to be hearing each other out, and getting along with each other and finding ways to respect other people's boundaries. So that's just a little bit of taste of what we're about to get on the Portugal trip. Next on, oh, so yes, this trip is in Lisbon, Portugal. I wanted to make sure I said that right. And sadly enough, Candy is having stomach problems. Like, she said that she had the worst case of bubble guts she has ever had. So, I don't know what you ate, Candy, but you're still continuing eating on the trip. I mean, some scenes you kind of look a little bit miserable because your face just has this disgusted, like, like you're eating to be a part of the group. Like, I get it. But also at the same time, if you're not feeling well, you do have to be mindful, especially eating in another country. But enough of a lecture. So Marlo. Marlo, that's all I got. Because Marlo is finding ways to dig at people throughout all this Portugal trip. I don't know what's up with Marlo this season, but she just doesn't seem to be happy with anything. So Marlo says that that the hotel that Cherie had picked out for the ladies was a step up and a much better improvement than what Kenya had gave them when they went to go see her perform, but she did not because she had felt ill. And really, I don't know what the purpose of that was, but something that I did find interesting is that this was a really nice hotel or resort, and all the ladies were like tripping off of how stunningly beautiful the place was. Like, they were just like, oh my god, that's a big pool. Like, oh my god, look at that view. They're just like, oh my god, this is nice. And here comes Candy Ann walking, just looking around like she just wasn't impressed like the other ladies. Like, I don't know why the other ladies were just awestruck. Maybe it's just because Kenya's always on the go and always staying at hotels. So really, she's not really too stressed about the situation unlike the other ladies. However, Ralph, Now let's talk about Ralph and Drew for a second. Ralph had gotten, as you remember, Ralph had did a little scene for Drew's music video, and he stripped a little bit, and Drew was dancing on him. Well, yes, apparently he had got rubbed down in oil for that scene, for the music video, I believe. And then the lady that had rubbed him down in oil, as Drew has said, invited him to Vegas to audition for a chocolate city in Vegas. Now, at first, Drew didn't have a problem with it. She was just like, okay, yeah, go ahead. But now that she's on the trip in Portugal, she's feeling some kind of way because she's not with Ralph. And last time she wasn't on a trip, her and Ralph were separated and she was on a trip with the ladies. I guess something went down and she just isn't trusting him. Especially because it's Vegas. Like they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But you know, as we're going to see in a few episodes, it seems like Drew has her own problems to really worry about, and it isn't Ralph. Interestingly enough, Drew is upset with Cherie, the person who is leading this healing trip, because Cherie decided to bring up at the brunch at Drew's house, are you going to pay your employee? Like, is that chef going to get paid? And Drew was just like, why are you bringing this up? Which is going to lead us into the next episode, because in the next episode we start off with Drew in the 11th episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Drew was very sad, very vulnerable, and upset because Cherie had brought up this lawsuit, and this lawsuit is very touchy and sensitive for her because she's just very stressed out. It's she has to worry about her image and her family all at the same time, and she's being sued for $1,000. And the way Drew tells it, the chef didn't want to get paid, so she doesn't understand why she's now claiming that she didn't get paid by Drew. It's a whole mess. Drew's not having it, and she feels upset that Cherie brought it up, especially because you want to do healing and you want to make better connections with the females. However, you're going to bring up my lawsuit to me, not privately, but with the girls at the table, with the chef that was helping cook our lunch. Like, it was just like, she just felt like it was insensitive at the time. Also, I'm not sure what's going on with Drew. It seems like people are coming for Drew this episode, and Drew still hasn't forgiven Marlo. I mean, she did towards the end of the episode when Marlo finally apologized. However, she was just like, I accept your apology, Marlo. However, I am going to need to see change in order to say that we're on good terms and I'm going to be friends with you again. Because she did feel like Marlo popped off on her for no reason. However, also talking about some problems here, we have Candy, who's working like a beast. And we've commented about that here on the Crone's Treasure Chest a couple of times, that Candy is working way too much. And it's starting to affect her marriage, and now her friend group is bringing it up to her. Like, we're not even sure if we should be inviting you because you just never seem to have time for us, because you're just working. And to Candy's point of view, she's like, I'm still feeling like I'm building my career. Like, I still have things I can achieve. And she was like, some things, as she put it in her words, you get certain things, and like when you lose them and you get them back again, you like never want to lose it again. So I don't know what happened with Candy to make her be on this like work grind, gotta work, get that buck. But it's starting to affect her life. And she's like, I don't even have time for self-care. That's not even gonna fit into my regimen. So like, in that kind of sense, it feels like, why are you kind of here on this self-healing trip? Especially because she was only here for 2 days. And the ladies are going to be there for a couple of more days because she had a concert to attend to. So she is clearly not available for the TV show. So we're not sure if this is her time to move off because she just has so many projects. And she can make her own TV shows. I mean, we just saw her have her own TV show with Old Lady Gang. So, I mean, you know, Candy monopolized off of being off of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like, she came, she saw, and she truly conquered. And now you can chill and accept your conquers and like have people feed you grapes as your nails get painted, like enjoy the luxury. But no, she can't even enjoy the luxury that she's working so hard for. Next, we have Kenya. Kenya accidentally fell. Well, it wasn't an accident. It's not like she chose to fall. It was she slipped because it was raining in Portugal. Also, to point out, this is not a really good trip because Candy isn't feeling well. Sheree is having beefs with some of the ladies. Yet this is supposed to be her healing trip. But that's besides the point. And then we have Kenya falling and it's just rainy. And you guys are like on a beach side at the same time. So how can you enjoy the beach when it's raining? How can you enjoy beautiful Portugal when it's raining? Because I'm sure you have to do like a lot of walking and sightseeing. I mean, after all, you're in a different country. Who wouldn't want to go sightseeing? But it's not fun to sightsee when it's rainy and gloomy and dismal. And because of that, the front porch, not the front porch, but the front opening of the resort that they were staying at happened to be wet. And they had a wet caution sign that just happened to be shaped like a banana. Odd choice. And she slipped and she hurt her back. But don't worry, Kenya's okay. She did have to stay in the hospital for hours. Candy was there with her. Candy really didn't get to enjoy this trip. First day, as she said, she was sick. Second day, she spent most of it in the hospital with Kenya because they had to wait in the waiting room, even though she was brought there. Even though it was an emergency, I guess it wasn't that much of an emergency. And as Candy said, the adventure to a foreign hospital was finally over. However, thankfully, Kenya was sent home with some prescribed medicine for pain, and Candy got to enjoy the girls a little bit at a PJ party before she leaves to go do a concert. However, Kenya was out of commission for the rest of this episode, which I don't blame her. She was in pain. I wouldn't want to be on camera either. I'd rather just sleep it off too. So moving on, we had, this is very interesting. I like this part. Part of the trip, this is day 2 of the trip. The way their day started off was they're going to go to a market to pick out food that was going to be prepared at a restaurant for when they go have lunch. Now, I like that idea, and the chef was even there to meet them at the market, so I guess he could bring back the ingredients to the restaurant when they go have lunch. I like the idea of getting to pick out the food that you want to eat rather than picking off of a menu. It's much more personalized, and it's also food that you know you're going to like, even though you're eating foreign food in a different country. But while at this market, they had fun. They made a joke about a rabbit having BBL. They were just trying to have some lightened moods because, after all, Kenya's not there, nor Candy. But don't worry, they're going to make a comment on that later. After they had did that, they moved on to having their lunch prepared and then eating their lunch. And then at this lunch, Marlo decides to talk about her significant, the partner she's seeing, which is, oh, I forget his name. Oh, Scott Lee. So Scott Lee, she shows off pictures of Scott Lee. She talks about their date. I mean, Marlo's just really in love. You know what, for that, I love that she's in love because she hasn't had a relationship in a while, as she had said in her words. So to really enjoy this moment, she's just loving the moment. And then also Cherie's partner Montel had called and made a little joke about think about me at night since we're never like separated at night. I don't want you to forget about me. A little cute flirty joke. So that was good to see the lovers loving on their significant others. However, Kenya doesn't believe that the relationship between Scott Lee and Marlo is real. Why? I don't know. They a bit messy right there on that one. However, we're going to be talking about how, interestingly enough, after this lunch, they go on to a pottery class. And this was where they got to paint on some hearts and stars. And what they did was had a little talk. They enjoyed the piece. Marlo and some of the other girls mentioned how it was peaceful and there was no drama because Candy and Kenya wasn't there. However, Monyetta and Cherie decided to pull a little stunt, and Marlo and Monyetta was like, I see you looking at me. And Sonia was just like, I can look whatever I want to look. And then they were going to pop off and they were pretending like they were going to go fight, but it was all a joke. Okay. I guess they wanted to stir up some drama. I mean, I was enjoying the piece for a second, but I'm glad we had some fake drama for once. That was lighthearted. Moving on though, after this, they had their PJ party at in Sheree's room because she wanted to make sure that Candy still got to spend some time with the ladies before she leaves. Now, during this, Candy does seem to get into some problems with Sheree and Drew and maybe Marlo. But before that, we did get to see Kenya talk about how Khloe Kardashian won at People's Choice Awards. And she was just like, man, Courtney, why'd you have to win over me? Not Courtney, Khloe. So that's funny that both the Kardashians and Real Housewives of Atlanta were filmed at the same time. So moving on, Sonia was talking about at this PJ party how she's having problems with her family, but she feels like it is time for her family to leave because she feels like she needs to grow up in a sense and that her family needs to move out of the house at some point. However, just because they move out, they're not going to be any less apart, or they're just going to stay as close as they are. Like, none of the family dynamics are going to change. She was just like, I just think we need to make this step forward for me and my marriage. And she just feels really sad about that, but that's because she feels like she needs to grow up, and letting them go in this way just feels hard for her. So Sonia, I am sorry for you. I understand and see that you are stressed. However, interestingly enough, Drew was brought up in conversation because Drew was hurt that Candy said that her being upset that Sheree had brought up the lawsuits and her crying was her acting, because Candy made a joke and cut like it was an acting scene. And she was just like, I'm hurt that you believe, because we're such close friends, I'm hurt that you would believe that this vulnerable moment of mine was me acting. Like, why do I need to act in this situation? What am I getting out of acting? This is a vulnerable moment for me. I am human too, Candy. I can have feelings. And Candy was just like, you just wasn't having that deep of an argument to me, so I don't know why you crying. But, maybe they're going to work it out. We'll see on that one. However, Marlo says that, not Marlo, Cherie is upset that none of the ladies here's her healing trip. She needs to be healed at the fact that none of the ladies wants to buy her She by Sheree. Because she's like, you guys are saying that my stuff was confiscated from you at the reunion and that you don't have any of my merch, yet you guys aren't buying anything from me to support me, yet you're supporting other ladies. And everybody pulled out their phones. They were just like, hey, okay, we'll buy it right here. Just show us how to do it. Because they're just like, usually when we're looking for your stuff, the website isn't up, it's sold out. There's no way for us to order her stuff. And Cherie's just like, these ladies are acting like they don't know how to work a phone and just being phony. Cherie, they supported you. You got the support that you wanted. This is a healing trip. They showed that there was no malice. They were willing to support you. So I don't know why you upset about it a little bit. And then moving on, Drew is upset with Candy because Bolo keeps being brought up from 2 seasons ago. And during that time, Drew and LaToya must have gotten who knows what and did who's knows what. But according to Candy, the two of them kissed. And Drew's just like, you're lying. I've never kissed a woman. I've never been with a woman. I don't know why you're lying on me. Again, Candy, we are friends. Why are you lying? And Candy's just like, I don't know why you're calling me a liar. I do not like being called a liar. I know what I saw. And here goes Marlo saying, I believe 80% of the story because Drew's starting to convince me that she didn't kiss her, but I could have sworn she kissed her. So who knows what's going on between Drew and LaToya? Because in the next episode, we're going to see Drew having her tears and crying when it comes out because she's dating this girl named Ty. So who knows what's going on with Drew and her sexuality in this relationship with Ralph, but they got their own problems going on, and I'm not sure which is more important to worry about, Ralph in Vegas or Drew and her sexuality, and also doing this film with Candy and Todd called The Pass. But we're going to let that one pass and move on to the very end, which is talking about how this season is starting to heat up. Of course, we're starting to get towards the healing journey and all the problems are starting to come out and things are really starting to get resolved, and I hope that these ladies are able to overcome their problems, and I can't wait to see what next episode brings because this is very curious. I'm curious where they're going to go with this story. So with that being said, my little crones, munchkins, and chickens, Lady Crone and I both hope you enjoyed these 2 episodes of Real Housewives of Atlanta. And with that being said, oh, okay, bye.